Good evening and welcome to another episode of Unstoppable Overcomers. And tonight's sponsor is Strong Foundations Coaching and Consulting. With over 25 years experience leading, mentoring, training, and coaching people, Jen provides individuals and business personalized support to get aligned with their best life. For more information, definitely go to Jen's website at www.jenzahari.com and book your free 30-minute consultation today. As well, we also have Jen's also the author of Created No Way Out, which is an amazing nonfiction book based on a woman's life who is a woman who's about ready to end her life, or will she? Definitely a book of overcoming um, anxiety, depression, and definitely want to get your copy today. You can find that at Amazon or on her website. And I have my copy, so make sure you get yours today as well. I have the distinct honor of bringing up Pete Bloom. We're going to spend 5 minutes talking about So, Pete, welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you doing today?
I am amazing. And I just want to say thanks for being here tonight. And we have had the distinct pleasure of working with Greg Bicknell. And now tonight we have Pete, who is also one of the forerunners with this event on Saturday. So, Pete, can you please tell us about what's going on Saturday and definitely, how people can get there?
Yeah, sure. So basically what we have going on is Camaraderie Freedom Barbecue. It's going to be this Saturday, April 30th. It's going to be from 9 a.m. to whenever it ends. It could be between 3 and 5 p.m. We're going to have lots of stuff out there that has to do with veteran support. You can have some outdoor fun, a lot of cool things to experience and activities to participate in, uh, music, food, raffles, just lots of great stuff. And I think that it's basically going to be at 1801 Havendale Boulevard in Winter Haven, Florida. So that's the address. And
Perfect.
yeah, it should be great.
It sounds like it's going to be a great time. Now, is this event just strictly for veterans?
Well, we are all about veterans and their families. So families are included. There may be some first responders there. I think primarily it's been put together for veterans, and for this particular instance. But yeah, there's probably going to be more people there than that.
Perfect. And definitely, the show is all about helping our veterans, our first responders, and definitely that's why Kimberly's been down in Florida for the last couple months, helping you guys put everything together. And we're just so excited that we finally get to be part of something bigger than ourselves and giving back to the veteran community. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing definitely what this event is about, and definitely bring your whole entire family down to Winter Haven this Saturday, like Peter said, and definitely have some fun, have some camaraderie, and get to meet other veterans. Thanks so much, Pete, for coming on. I'm going to put you back in the green room, and I'm going to bring up next our guest, Johnathan. Welcome to the show, Johnathan.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Not a not I was gonna say not a problem, but that's not it's my pleasure. It's not like it's a problem, it's my pleasure. I don't know why I'm so rattled today. Probably because like there's just been lots of things going on in the background. And before we get started, I just want to say welcome. Thank you so much, Kenny, for showing up. Mr. Savor the flavor of awesomeness in you, sir. And thank you for showing up, Russ. Definitely 1,000 thanks, Russ, for all you do as well. So, Johnathan is one of these guys that is absolutely incredible, but I'm not going to share his story. So, Johnathan, tell us a little bit about your background.
Wow, thank you. So grew up in a typical Italian family and played sports my whole life. Played baseball, golf, football, you name it. Went on to college and played Division I baseball. Uh, had a blast, got 2 degrees, and then entered the real world. I've done a lot of different things in my life, from working in corporate America to owning my own business. At one point, I was a law enforcement officer for the city of West Palm Beach, and it was one of the most amazing experiences, but also one of the most traumatic experiences of my life. And in that process, I got married and divorced, had 2 kids, and now I have started my own nonprofit focused on law enforcement officers.
Yeah, well, I'm certainly sorry to hear that it was so traumatic for you. Could you tell us a little bit about your experiences getting you to where you're at, from where you were to where you're at right now?
Yeah. So with regard to law enforcement, we get a lot of practical training, a lot of tactical training, and it's great. Most, if not all of them out there, are spot on when it comes to the practical application. But with regards to the mental, emotional side of it, and leading into the spiritual side of it, and even the physical side of it, there's really not much, if anything, out there. So, like most cops, I got into it because I wanted to help others, but I didn't really understand what that entailed. And, I didn't want to sit behind a desk. As an athlete, I wanted to be out doing stuff, moving around. Me sitting behind a computer all day long just wasn't going to happen. I got gray hair already. Like, I wouldn't have hair if that was the case. Right. So, being free to kind of go about and do what you want, drive where you want. And that was really inviting. And the fact that it was a really honorable and noble profession was, what drew me to it. When you got into it, you didn't realize it kind of hit you real quick what the whole industry is really like. And it's tough, right? You're dealing with the toughest of, society, but there's no training to help you deal with it. The old, archaic way of dealing with it just doesn't work anymore. Officers wanted to evolve, communities wanted to evolve, citizens wanted to evolve. And so it's time to catch up. I went through a civil rights case that was very traumatic for me. And all I did was handcuff the young man, but I got drugged through the dirt. My character was attacked. It was very demoralizing. And my department kind of abandoned me. I was at a point where I didn't even know what to do. Right.
Right.
So I got out. I was forced out and didn't understand it, but I do now. And that's why we created our organization, Blue Guardian Network, is to provide not only the officer, but the departments a safe place in a community of multiple services that when they're struggling either in uniform or at home, that they can come to and do life with other cops, retired or current, and people that genuinely care for them.
I'm so sorry that happened to you, Jonathan. You hear more and more lately, that, yeah, I believe a lot of police officers get a bad rap for other things that have happened, definitely in the media and things like that. So I'm really sorry that did happen to you. But I know you're a spiritual type person, so I know that everything happens for a reason, right? And so I truly believe that you were put into that position because now you're here helping those police officers, get through the trauma and the PTSD that you yourself had endured.
Yeah. At the time I was sorry too, but now I'm so grateful. And that took a long time to get there. I can speak into a lot of officers' lives because I've been there, and maybe not exactly like it or exactly what they're experiencing, but close enough to where I can spend time with them and empathize with them and relate to them. And I honestly, because of my journey, and because of my spiritual habits and practices, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I am so grateful that it happened, and I wouldn't trade it. I didn't understand it at the time, but that's kind of how it works, right? Like when I became a first-time father, I didn't know what the heck to do, but you just kind of figure it out. And as long as you stay the course, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, that actually wasn't even the hard part. It was fighting through the suicidal ideations, right?
Right.
That were created because I didn't know how to process what was going on. And then I realized there was a lot of stuff from childhood that
Right.
was building and building and building. So, it was a ticking time bomb. It was a perfect storm waiting to happen. But by the grace
Right.
of God and just, I guess, being stubborn and hard headed like cops are, right? One of my favorite quotes is, tough times don't last, tough people do.
Right.
And the hardest thing I had to do was look in the mirror and say, you know what? I'm going to make a change. This isn't what life's all about. And I started by looking at myself from the inside out. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to change this.
Right. Now, when you were with the police force, did they give you any kind of trying to find the right word, like training to help prepare you mentally for what you would see, what you would endure, or things like that?
Yes and no. It's not really, the system is so over and dated, and you just kind of grip it and rip it. You're grinding out there every night, especially in the type of city that I was in. There are resources out there, but with regards to the job in the industry, there's really not much time. They have to focus so much on, like I said, the practical application, the law side of it, the depositions, the report writing, that the mental emotional side of it kind of falls by the wayside. And it's that rough and tough mindset, almost like a locker room for sports. But that's what needs to change. That, to me, is what real police reform is helping these men and women process things not only in uniform but out of uniform to become the best versions of themselves. And when you can do it from the inside out, you embody that, and then you live that out in all walks of your life, whether it's in uniform or it's being a father, being a wife, a coworker, a cousin, you name it.
Right. Sorry. Sorry. Kimberly is messaging me. She's here.
Yay! You gotta love the internet, right? Like,
yes,
it works when you want it to, right?
That is it. She is just like, oh yay, she's working. Sorry, folks. We've just been having technical difficulties pretty much since we tried to start the show. But that's live. This is live. This is what happens when we go live. This is just, like you said, Jonathan, everything happens for a reason, and everything is godly and divine, and this is just how things run. And maybe it's because I forgot to hurry up and pray before the show tonight, which I normally do, and I was just focused on making sure everything was going right in order and re-adding different things. And yeah, this is what happens. So anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I know you know that, because I know that we speak the same language when it comes to that. And definitely, I just want to go into the comments here. Alexandria from Ohio is joining us. Her husband is a police officer as well. And thank you for all that you do. Gotta love life. Exactly. Everybody. That's right. It's life. This is just what it is. It's just one of those things. And Alexandria and I had a great conversation today. So welcome. Thank you for joining us. So now that you've put that at least put some of that behind you, and you definitely got the healing that you needed. Tell us now. I'm so excited about your nonprofit, Blue Guardian Network. Tell us all about that, because I'm super excited what you're doing, and of course, the Overcomer is unstoppable. Overcomers behind you. Because we're not just overcomers, we're unstoppable in everything that we do. And I know that you're part of that and that's why you're on the show. So tell us about your nonprofit.
Yeah, thanks. I want to start with, it doesn't stop, right? This is a lifelong journey. We unfortunately tell too many people that when you graduate from high school or college, like you're done learning. And that's honestly when it starts. And so when I was able to embrace this idea that I'm never going to be complacent, there's so much more for us to learn and to experience and live life, like the young lady said, that we should never get complacent. We should always look and strive to be a better version of ourselves for ourselves and become, our own best friend and the best version of ourselves. So what we've done with Blue Guardian Network is we want to do life with police officers and their families, spouses, children. And what we realized was there's really not much out there for our cops. And I spent a lot of time looking for one of these platforms to join, and I just didn't find one. So, I got kicked in the rear end to start one. And what we want to do is we want to create, and what we are creating is a national platform that unifies and unites police officers across the country. We are providing multiple modalities, multiple programs that some already exist. They just haven't worked in the law enforcement industry. So, for example, your typical clinical practitioners, they serve a huge purpose, whether you're doing CBT or EMDR or TRIP, right? Dr. Royster, who is our medical director and is trained in 20 different modalities, has the whole entire clinical staff to cover those needs. The difference is she's also an EAP practitioner, but she's not connected to your department. She's licensed through the states, and our therapists are licensed through the state. So you can receive those same exact services, but not with the judgment or the fear of the department or the city. We also have pastoral counseling if you are faith-based and you want to go down that path. If you're not, that's okay. We do not believe that there's a one-size-fits-all approach to anything in life. Those are two of the more counseling side of it. The cool thing about having pastoral care on our side is our officers are covered by confessional rights, which are not subpoenable. And that's a big problem, is getting our officers to talk. So we then go into developmental courses where we teach guys about, resiliency. I mean, all those cool words that are out there, right? It's one thing to talk about. It's another thing to actually live it and teach it. So we have a combination of coaching and educational mastermind courses. There's leadership courses. And then there's a whole social component to it. We are in the stages of upgrading our platform to where you can actually join social groups, kind of like Facebook, but it's completely private. It's only for law enforcement officers, not even for their spouses. We're developing a completely separate platform for the spouses because, let's be honest, it's hard to be married to a cop, period. And they don't get any support. They don't get any education about what it's going to be like. So that's what we're doing. We're teaching spouses what it's like to be married to an officer and how to help them in this process as well.
Right. And that would be beneficial for a lot of marriages. I'm just saying.
Look, the divorce rate in the United States is at 50%, right? Among cops, it's even higher. And not only will it help with the divorce rate, it'll help with your mental and your physical well-being, because cardiac disease is through the roof, and it's all stress related.
Right.
Because when you don't know how to manage it, like going to drink a beer is not managing stress.
Right.
Going to the gym is a form of it, but it's only one. You have to be able to do it from a whole, complete, well-rounded mental, emotional, spiritual, physical standpoint.
Right.
And then we'll have other things like other coaches. So if you're struggling with sleeping, we'll have sleep coaches on there. If you want to do yoga, we'll have that motivational talks, podcasts. You name it, we're ready to do it, or we're ready to create it. Because in the end, everybody hangs out with people that they like and that understand them, right?
Right.
So let's create it. Why can't a cop in New York talk to a cop in Florida? Right? Oh, and I forgot the peer-to-peer. We're going to have a whole peer-to-peer program as well. So
Hello, Melanie. Thanks for joining us. And I love that. So it's basically everything under one roof. And I love the fact that you definitely mentioned, um, the civilian side being the spouse side. And so that the spouses actually, like, they obviously know something's happened once you guys come home, because you're definitely not the same person that you were when you left the house, right? But putting that into perspective and definitely allowing them to see the other side and what it is that you guys go through, I think that's a great idea. I also think that's a great idea to do that in other areas too, because like, my husband's not in law enforcement or a veteran or anything like that, but he refuses to speak about his work. And so I have no idea what's going on. So I think that could be helpful in all areas. But I know that right now you guys are sticking to first responders. And are you still doing the veterans too, or does it just strictly first responders?
we stepped away from veterans. What we saw was there's so many amazing veteran organizations out there, like Greg's Camaraderie Rescue Mission, Michelle Ladd's program with Veterans Response. And look, the bottom line is cops don't want to be around firefighters. Cops don't want to be around veterans. They're not going to be their true authentic self. They're not going to open up and be vulnerable. And that's ultimately what we're trying to create. So we just completely step away and we are just focused on police officers and only police officers. I can relate to veterans. I can relate to teachers and nurses and firefighters, but I've never put on that uniform. I've never been into a burning building. I've never had to do that stuff. And
Right.
so why would I go there? But that's just how my mind works, right? So I was a cop. I put that uniform on. I've experienced the stress of a, lieutenant and a sergeant yelling at you to get your reports done, and you're sitting there going, "Why?" Like, I got 2 more days, and the district attorney isn't even going to read it, right? To staring down the barrel of a gun and thinking I might not make it home, but from my personal experience with regards to the spouses, a lot of the times when I came home, I just wanted to take a shower. I mean, I worked 12 hours in South Florida heat at night. I just wanted a shower, and I was getting a newborn child thrown in my face. And it's not that I didn't want to spend time with my son. Like, I was all for it, but you just felt so dirty and grimy that like you didn't want to bring that to your family. And it didn't matter what I said. She didn't care. And a lot of the times our officers, what they do is they don't share stuff with their family because they don't want them to really see what this world is like. And so by trying to protect them, their family, their loved ones, they slowly but surely start isolating and turn themselves off, which ends up hurting their loved ones that much more. And so that's a big part of what we're trying to combat. So being able to communicate and talk about how to talk to your loved one that's a cop when they come home and open up that communication, because like, look, we're tough, right? We have to be tough, but sometimes like we need to be kind of coached and caressed to say, and
Exactly. Well, not to mention the fact that if you just had like the most horrible shift of your life where you saw a baby being either murdered or abused or something like that, and I'm sure that that happens. And that was the whole reason why I decided not to do the whole EMT thing. I was set for it. And I'm like, if I come across that, I know I just will go nuts. So I couldn't handle that. And, I acknowledged the fact that I couldn't. Because one of us would be going to jail. For sure. So, and you have to keep that level head. And I know that I'm not that type of person that could do that in that situation. But yet you guys had to deal with that. You keep your calm, keep everything professional. And,
well, and we do that because that's what we signed up to do. And that's why the home life is so important to this police reform picture, right? It's because if everyone tries to keep their you-know-what together for 12 hours and they don't know how to release anything, they don't know how to process it, they don't get the space, and they don't have the self-commitment routine developed. And most men didn't get that from their fathers at this stage in the game, right? That's changing, thank God, but that's just the truth. My dad did not have the internet. They had Encyclopedia Britannicas, right? Do those even exist anymore? But that's what they had. And, now with the technology that we are exposed to, there's no reason to not provide this to our young men and women that are in any industry, honestly. And so by spending life with them outside a uniform, on a platform similar to this, because my story is just one, right? There's a million of them, and I'm no one special, right? But if my story helps somebody else, then so be it. And the more guys that get out there and gals that get out there and talk and share and realize, like, look, I'm not alone. Man, I've drank way too much. I've watched way too much porn in my life, right? I've had anger issues, depression, anxiety, comparison, doubt, shame, fear, you name it, PTSD, suicide, you name it, I've seen it. I've experienced it. And the bottom line is you all have a choice. You have a choice. And it's not easy, but heck, we knew that getting into the job. So when we go home, that's the hard part, is processing all that stuff. How can we expect our men and women in uniform to be these superheroes when we don't teach them how to process things?
Right.
We're fighting against ourselves.
That's true. Yeah, it's like you're like the gerbil in the hamster wheel, or hamster in a hamster wheel. Just keep this vicious cycle keeps going, and then when are you gonna get off that? And as I'm listening to you speak, I'm getting like a lot of aha moments, and that's why I'm kind of like I'm processing everything here, because I believe, yes, and I can appreciate law enforcement and first responders and veterans and going through this too, but we have to keep this in mind for regular everyday people, like civilians that go through things at work that don't know how to process this. It's kind of like similar. I mean, you guys obviously say way more crap than we do, but if you don't have the tools to process what it is that you're seeing, to be vulnerable and authentic, then you're just going to come up against the same problems that you're just talking about. And sorry, it's just my mind is just spinning right now with all the possibilities of everything that you're just saying.
Well, and what you just stirred up inside me is look, mental health is not going away. It's not. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. We all have mental health issues or struggles or a journey to go on. And with regards to our law enforcement officers, we are too focused on training them to deal with other people's mental health. Okay. That's called a therapist. That's called a psychiatrist, right? Some people might even call it their hairstylist. I don't know. I don't get my hair done. But the bottom line is, in order to help somebody else with their mental health, which is what we are asking our officers to do, they must first understand their own. And that is just where we need to spend our money. Our tax dollars should be going towards developing these officers and helping them with their mental health so they can help others. I forget what the statistic is with regards to people that are incarcerated. A good majority of I think it's up into like the 40% of them are diagnosable mental health disorders, right? So those are the people that cops are interacting with day in and day out, right? It's like having a crying baby with colic that cries all the time, right? Like, you go crazy. You're lucky you have a significant other there, because you're like, dude, I need a timeout. Like, can you help? Like, here you go, right? TV timeout. I'm leaving. That's what law enforcement is. It's constant over and over and over and over again. And there's very little praise. There's very little, not only from the outside world, but from the departments themselves, right? And it's like, oh, what are you, soft? You need someone. Everybody is a spiritual being having a human experience. We all want to be recognized. We all want to be appreciated. We all want to be pursued. I don't care if you're male or female, right? Like, that's just life.
Kimberly is in the screen room just freaking out right now by what you just said. Because Kimberly, I always say, okay, I'm only human. And she goes, no, we're spiritual beings with a human experience. And she is just like freaking out in the background right now. I don't know if you can see her, but she's just, and so it's funny that you said that. And when you said, it's like having a colicky baby. Well, I was laughing because I was that baby. I was the colicky baby that for the first, I don't know how many months of my life, it was brutal for my parents. And so, yeah, I just got a visual of what they went through 45 years ago. And so, yeah. And it's like, when you're a first time parent, it's not like they throw a handbook at you. Well, you could go buy all those books and, but it's not the same thing as experiencing it. Right. And I've never given birth, but I've been an aunt or like the oldest cousin in the family, or an aunt, and helped raise one nephew. And I now have a stepson that's 10 going on 11, going on 40. And, and the attitudes that we're dealing with, and the fact that as humans trying to process this whole pandemic thing, let alone our children, and giving them the grace they need so that we all don't go freaking crazy or like the police be called.
Right. So, here's the deal. There's nothing wrong with any of you, any of us, whether you're a cop, a teacher, a nurse, a civilian. There's nothing wrong with you. You might have been programmed the wrong way. You might have a bunch of junk that's piled up from your mom and your dad and teachers and what. But going to see a therapist, going to talk to a coach doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with you. In all honesty, doing that is very brave, right? And I find it very funny that our officers, who are the bravest, right, in military, like, aren't willing to do the bravest thing for themselves. Because once you do, this world is totally different. Like, law enforcement can be so rewarding because you can truly help those that need it, right? You don't have to let that negative energy come into your life. You can be taught all this. But if you're struggling with something right now, there's nothing wrong with you. You just have to find someone that can help you understand it and process it. And here's the deal. None of us did it ourselves. Not a single one of us. We just humbled ourselves enough to reach out. And then we were stubborn enough, right? Hi, I'm stubborn because once I sink my teeth into something, I'm not letting go.
Right. Well, and then now, especially when you finally get that nerve up to say, okay, I finally need help. I'm being vulnerable here, guys. Like, I'm over here and I'm treading water. And then to be told, well, make a phone call and set up an appointment. Well, if in that moment, that officer decides he needs, or that veteran decides he needs help, like now, like today, this very moment, before he takes a gun and blows his head off, that's why we teamed up with Greg, because that was his story. He decided, okay, finally, I'm vulnerable enough. I'm asking for help, and then was told, go make an appointment. And it's the same thing with you guys, but your program, hello, you guys are the lifeline that says, okay, you first responders, you the police officers out there, you need the help. We're here to help you, and we're here to help you right now. Right. Because even, mental illness runs very rampant in my family, and very rarely have I seen too many of us cry out for help. I was one of the ones that said, yes, okay, sign me up. I need some help. Talk me through this. But the stigma of it, I have people in my family that are in their late 60s and refuse to get help because of the stigma around it. And
that's changed because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
That's changed because of COVID, because look, I'm a coach. That's all I am. I'm not a therapist. I'm not licensed, and I'm never going to get licensed. So you can come talk to me and my coaches because we've all put that uniform on, right? And so we can help you process these things because somebody helped us, right? Mm-hmm. And that's starting to change because with law enforcement, when you want help and you have to make a phone call and they're like, oh, I'm booked for a month. Like, are you kidding me? And that's what you get. Or you're ordered to go there and that therapist has to respond back to your lieutenant or to the city commissioner or HR, right? Mm-hmm. On my platform, we don't have to report anything to anyone. We are not connected to any department. We're not connected to any major organization. We're not connected to a city. We're not connected to any of that. We are 100% committed to the officer and any department that wants to work with us. But we are a complete third party that cannot be bought. And is that going to make it harder for us? Oh, yeah. Of course. Right? Mm-hmm. I don't have $43 billion to buy something like Elon Musk does. Right? So
he just spent $13 million buying Twitter today. Didn't you hear that?
Not 13 million. Try more like 43 billion.
Really? I thought it was 13 million.
Maybe just for his shares, right?
Maybe.
But that's ultimately it. Like cops need a lifeline. And it can't be just one single lifeline. It needs to be multiple because counseling might not be it. It might be a weekly networking call called Passionate Policing, where you start there, you come there, you hear other cops talk, and then eventually you go into counseling or into a developmental program or an energy program, right? Mm-hmm. You might start with fitness, right? And then find your way into all these other things. But the main thing is that we expose them to it. The main thing is that they have access to it. And spouses, like you guys play a huge role in this, if not the biggest role in it, because you might have to step up your game and carry some of the weight for them to eventually say, right? Well, if my wife's doing it, then why shouldn't I?
Right. Well, and not to mention the fact that, if your spouse comes home and they're an emotional wreck, threatening to harm themselves, like how do you deal with that? As a civilian, you wouldn't have a freaking clue unless you've gone through the assist program. And I'm one of the ones that have, but I'm not the normal everyday spouse that has already done that. And I did that because I did have a family member that commit suicide, and I'm not the norm, and I get that. But for the civilians out there that have no clue how to handle a spouse coming through the door, like emotionally triggered, emotionally wired, saying, this was the worst day of my life. And that's just how it's, I'm ending my life right now, unless you can think of something else.
But why do you have to be the norm? Right. Or like, why can't that be the norm? So on our platform that we can bring that program onto our platform and everybody can take that course.
Right.
Those are the type of things that we're exposing people, this industry to, and making it more accessible.
Right. Well, you were right. Kimberly just put in the behind the scenes that it was $54.20 per share. Elon has sealed the deal on Twitter, estimated approximately $44 million. So what I read was completely wrong. Just to seal the deal. Imagine that.
Well, 13 million for a company is like unfathomable, but let alone 44 billion, right? Must be nice.
Right. Yeah. Just peanuts. If we had Elon's money, then you know what we could do? Instead of buying Twitter, we could save more police officers, save more veterans, definitely, and
hey, at least we're not Johnny Depp.
And look who's in the comments, y'all. We're talking about him, and then he finally decides to show up. Mr. Greg Bicknell himself.
The man, the myth, the legend.
Yes, the man, the myth, the legend. I love that. Sorry. I just had a scroll go by. Anyways. We're talking about everything here tonight, folks. If, in case you missed the first little bit, this is Johnathan, and Johnathan is an ex-police officer who has started Blue Mountain, or not Blue Mountain, Blue Guardian network, and it is an amazing organization to help first responders get over or help get over their PTSD and the traumas that they have suffered while on the front lines. And I love what you're doing, Johnathan. I think it's absolutely so basically how can we help you then? If you had, oh, here we go. Keep it small words. Unfathomable is too big for my vocabulary.
Greg, I'm gonna send you a dictionary, bud.
If I was a fairy godmother and you had 3 wishes, what is it that you would need to really get Blue Guardian Network where you want it to be?
Wow. Okay. So the first and most important thing is getting officers to join our weekly calls, having them sign up. It's free. Having them come and join. There's 2 different calls. Join the calls to build the platform of officers. That's the most important.
Okay.
So that would be number 1. Number 2 would be, I would say, anybody that has a heart for law enforcement, whether they have a family member or they have a program that helps officers, they're a coach or a counselor of some sort. If you have a heart and you want to give back to these officers, I need to talk to you. I want to talk to you to see how we can team up, because I'm not Blue Guardian Network. There's about 10 of us. And for whatever reason, the good Lord's given me the ship to steer, and I'm just doing the best I can. So any coach or anybody that wants to give back, that would be number 2. And then number 3, like anything else, we need funding. We need funding to develop our online platform and our services, to not only take it here locally, but to bring it nationally. We would love in due time to bring people, bring this program to Canada, bring it over to the UK, as far and as wide as we can take it. We want to make it as secure and safe for our officers, which would require private servers and all that. And right now it's very small, so we can do that. But, there's 800,000 police officers in the United States of America. 100,000 by the end of 2023 would be amazing.
Right. So I have one question. The coaches, do they have to be, can they be civilians, or do they have to be police officers in order to help your police officers?
Yes, they can be civilians. They do not have to be police officers.
I know of at least 5 to 10. I will shoot your way.
We have what we're doing is we want to balance, right? Because every coach has a coach. John Wooden was one of the greatest coaches of all time, and he had a coach, right? Every counselor should have a counselor. That's one of the stigmas of that world, right? Is that that doesn't happen. But the beauty is I talk with my team all the time. And I've got Dr. Royster, who's trained in 20 modalities. I got Dr. Capps, who's our pastoral counselor. I've got Christina, who is a 13-year police officer that is a chaplain and a coach. I've got Mary. I've got Shay. I've got a group of like-minded people that when I'm struggling with something, which happens quite frequently, I have a team to go to as well. Right?
Right.
I'm not above any of this. I do this work myself.
Right. Hi, Anthony. Welcome. Melody, I'm not sure what this means. Do you know what this means? 220 with TRP would be a great asset to them as well. Any idea what that is?
Yeah, I do. I'm actually 220 trained in TRP. It's another modality that is kind of like it's not like EMDR, but it's a clinical modality that is phenomenal. There are other organizations as well. I think 220 is one organization. Liberty OVE is another organization that does it. So it is definitely groundbreaking type stuff. It helps you see TRP or TRIP. It will help you disconnect your trauma from the amygdala without having you talk about it, which is great. And it's very helpful, especially for severe traumas.
Right.
But there needs to be more, right? That's just not a one size fits all cure. There's no magic pill to this.
Right.
But yes, the 220 and Liberty OVE are two great organizations that are doing that work.
Awesome. Amazing. Okay, so now is the time of the show that we're going to bring back Pete, and we're going to bring in Kimberly now that she has internet. I'm so excited to do the fundamental section. I can hear my computer. There we go. We got them all on board. So welcome. I am so excited to see your smiling faces, and I'm going to turn it over to Kimberly to do this part of the show.
Beautiful. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Fantastic. It's all working. It's so exciting. God is good all the time. So first off, Dorothy, because I did miss the first part, did you get a chance to introduce everybody to Pete already?
Mm-hmm.
I know we shared about the amazing event here in Florida at the beginning.
Yes. He shared the amazing event. We haven't gotten into what Pete does, so I was waiting for you for that, but we did.
Beautiful.
Pete did share the amazing event.
Okay, great. Well, now I get to share the amazing Pete. So, Pete Bloom, please, would you please share with them what you most want to share tonight about yourself? Because this guy's amazing, and I can't wait for everyone to meet him.
Well, first of all, Jonathan, what he's doing, I feel really a tight bond to that because it is so similar to what veterans go through. There's a real parallel to that, and so I was really touched by what he said and the thoughts that he had on the subject. I myself am a Navy and Marine veteran. My day job is I'm COO for a portfolio of companies. And I guess in my spare time, I work with transitioning military veterans and their families. Project Transition USA is one company. Veterans for Worship is another company. And I'm the chairman for the Tampa chapter of the Florida Association of Veteran-Owned Businesses. And one of the things I think is the most exciting and what has gotten me working with Greg and Kimberly and Jock was I became COO of the Falls Adventure, which is a nonprofit also that works with family and life leadership skills. And we also work with veterans and first responders as well. And we like to add in fun things like, rope courses and other kinds of activities. And so it's going to be great to be able to complement those sort of things with the camaraderie Freedom Barbecue event. And then, and along with all the other stuff that we were talking about that they're doing. And it should be great too.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And with that, Pete, would you like to be the one to start us off and share your fundamentals that you want everyone to know about?
Yeah, sure. I kind of feel like that was easy. The first two came off instantly, and for me, and that was basically God and family. Because without God, we wouldn't be here. Without God, we wouldn't have any direction. And without God, there would be no place to go when all this was over and done. The second one is family. I love my family, my wife, my children. It's one of the things that I'm happy about when I wake up every day is being able to share life with them. I think that's so important. And the last one, I thought about it for just a couple minutes, and I guess it's nature. Because we got to get disconnected from technology sometimes and get out there and put our feet in the sand. I think that's why I'm in Florida. Going to the beach, feeling the waves and the water, and going on hikes and walking in nature is just awesome too. So that's my three.
Those are fantastic. And yeah, you guys keep selling me on Florida. And I hate to admit it, I'm falling in love with Florida. Don't tell anybody. But it's
Steve
mostly 'cause of
Genovese, do you
all of
hear
you.
this?
Yeah, I know. He's a happy man, let me tell you. So that's fantastic. Johnathan, like I don't know if you did see me in the back room at all with the whole spirit having a human experience. Yes, like I have known that since I was 2, and everything you're sharing and everything that you're doing for police officers, like we love and adore what you're doing. And it's really, I know, Dorothy, and my privilege to be any kind of a support to that whatsoever. My hat's off to you. My cousin, who is ex-military as well, a current police officer in Des Moines, will be all over this with you. And I'm super excited to get you two connected. So thank you. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to make a difference for you.
Thank you.
And what you're doing. So share, Johnathan, what are your 3 fundamentals?
Yeah, my 3 fundamentals are love, honor, and respect. Really love is what it's all about. And it's God, right? God is love. And for me, I don't care if you use God, energy, source, life power, creator. It don't matter to me. But ultimately, you have love and fear and everywhere in between. If you stay focused on love, then this world is beautiful and there's so much to experience. And it's really hard to do that with the industries that we work in. But that's where these organizations play a big factor. I love my faith. I love my kids. I love my family. Like, if I don't love it, it ain't going to be anywhere near me. Like, even food. If I don't love food, it ain't coming near me, right? Like, all about love, right?
I know Dorothy and I are enjoying, because this sounds a little bit like a repeat with Greg, because his 3 were love, love, and love, right? It's awesome. It's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, that's really ultimately it.
Yeah.
And then honor comes next, because you have to have some integrity. You have to have purpose. You have to have a reason for doing what you're doing. And you have to be honorable to yourself and to others around you. And I think when you create that standard for yourself and you hold yourself to try to achieve that daily, that's all we can ask for. Are we going to fall short? Sure. Absolutely. But by creating that as a pillar, we can always get right back on that horse. Yes, and that's the main thing. And then respect. I've got a long story with respect. My whole transformational journey started with the fact that respect was programmed inside me the wrong way. And I'm very big on understanding specific words. We like to throw words around like love, right? Everybody loves everything, right? And what does love truly mean? And when you take the time to look at that, it's a big thing. So for me, the word respect did that, and that started me on my journey. Playing baseball, like I said, my father was my coach, and other coaches that were there, they always taught us to, respect the name on the back of our jersey, right? Which means your last name. And that entailed, don't throw your helmet, don't, argue with the umpires, teamwork, sportsmanship, the whole 9 yards. Well, what ended up happening in my life is I saw my dad doing all those things as an 8-year-old. He was the one yelling and throwing stuff and arguing. And my brain, my frontal lobe didn't process that, right? So I had this very big confusion inside of me of what respect and disrespect was. It was to the point where, honestly, my dad, when I went through what I went through with my department, my dad told me to go in and clear his last name. And I was like, hold on a second. Like, you've never been a cop. And like we mentioned previously, like I love everything that I went through because it opened up my eyes. And when I finally realized that, I've always been very respectful. And it was my dad that was the one that wasn't being respectful. It changed my perspective. And it changed the context on how I viewed the world. And it opened me up to live a life of honor and of love because I was able to put it into its right context.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Really, there's not much I can say to that. Although, Johnathan, I'm continuing to see all the similarities between us because when I was growing up, I referred to myself as a curbside Christian. In other words, my parents would drop me off at church, right? Literally, like they didn't even go to church. They dropped me off. And then I would be in church and all that, and I'd choir, singing my little heart out to get back in the car to have everything represented that's not happening in the church, right? And I totally get the confusion that gets created. So thank you for helping people have a real sense of respect from what you're creating. That was really beautiful. Yeah. And very fun too, by the way.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I went to Catholic school but we didn't live that. And so it's a matter of having your truths line up with your actions. And that takes hard work. That's not this like, hey, I wake up in the morning and, everything is rosy and, it's not how it works. This is hard work. And anybody that chooses to do this journey, like my hat's off to them. Like the light inside of me honors the light inside of each and every one of you and anyone that's doing this, because this is what it's all about. This is what religion and people have been trying to figure out for many, many years. Amen. And maybe hopefully these organizations and these networking and technologies can help us make that change.
Yeah, I definitely see it. I definitely see it. The lights are getting brighter and brighter in each of us. So Amen. Thank you. And thank you for being one of those bright lights for people to walk towards.
Thank you.
Same with you, Pete, by the way. Don't think you're off the hook. You're also a very bright light that we're so happy to have inside our fold of Unstoppable Overcomers. And with that, Dorothy, I leave it back to you.
Amazing. And now I really know why you and Pete get along. Come on now. God, family, and nature. Hello. She's our
I know. As soon as he said nature, I was like, tee.
I'm like, no wonder why I've heard nothing but good things about Pete this entire time. I mean, it's like you guys are soul siblings. For sure.
Well, now she's in the right place.
That's right. That's right. Wow. This has been another incredible episode of Unstoppable Overcomers. I just want to thank our guests for joining us in the comments. So don't forget, our wish list tonight is any fellow police officers. Definitely get in touch with Johnathan. And I do have all his contact information in the show notes. So definitely get a hold of him. What's the best place that you like people to connect with you, Johnathan?
LinkedIn is usually the best. That's where I spend most of my time. Or you can email me. It's John Galui at blueguardiannetwork.org. It's John without an H, so Jon. Those are usually the best two. I'll give you my cell phone number too, 561-281-7868. I'm here to help. I'm here to serve again. And if I can't get you, I'll get back to you. And that's just how this works. This isn't by appointment and, give me your insurance. I don't play those games, right? I want to do life with our men and women in uniform, and that's what it's going to change. That's how this is going to change.
Perfect. And if you are a heart-centered coach and want to give back, definitely connect with Johnathan as well, because he'll be using you on his platform. And if anybody out there has any additional funding that they want to help Johnathan get Blue Guardian Network to where it needs to be, definitely contact Johnathan for all three of those wishes. And Pete, how can they get in touch with you?
I'm a huge LinkedIn fan as well. So it's basically linkedin.com/in/Pete Bloom, PETEBLUM.
Perfect. All right. I am excited because it's all things are connecting us to Florida, apparently, and apparently to first responders, veterans, and military. And it's just been absolutely a pleasure working with every single one of you gentlemen. And I know that Greg has been blowing up the comments. I'm not sure if I want to post that one. We'll leave it there for right now. Something about if Pete takes off his shoes and takes off running in the dirt, he's going to call Johnathan for reinforcements. I think every single one of you
can to make you laugh. No.
Anyways, thank you to the amazing people that showed up in the comments. Thank you to our amazing guests on the show tonight. We really appreciate you, and we are going to do our best to get those wish lists for both of you. And remember, guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you are a veteran and you're in the Winter Haven, Florida location this Saturday, you definitely want to stop off and go over there and meet your fellow camaraderies. Did I say that right, or did I mess that up? Anyways, and in the comments, I asked Greg to definitely put in the link for the event, which he did for me. LinkedIn for Pete as well. Pete's LinkedIn in there as well. So thank you so much. As always, have an amazing evening and be unstoppable. We'll see you next Monday night, same time, same channel. Bye for now.